The descendants of Kerensky have returned, Chancellor. They are the clans. In the year 3049, grave news spread across all of human space. From the colder regions of known space came reports of attacks along the borders of multiple states, including the layer and a half of the Federated Commonwealth and the Draconis Combine. The attackers fielded unknown, highly advanced war machines, some never before seen, others believed lost for centuries. They were an unstoppable force, conquering system after system, planet after planet. Even the most elite Innisphere militaries could do little to stem the tide against what some called alien invaders. The emergence of this new threat came as a shock to everyone. The House Lords, ever entangled in conspiracies and plots to outmaneuver and destroy their rivals, were unprepared when the assault began. The nations most threatened redeployed nearly all their forces toward the invasion front. Meanwhile, the Capellan Confederation, unaware of the true extent of the danger, reinforced its rimward borders against the periphery, anticipating another front that never came. Then, as suddenly as they had appeared, the invaders halted their advance after reaching the Radstadt system in October 3050. Unbeknownst to the Innisphere, the leader of the alien forces was killed in an unexpected space battle against the Rasalhae Kungsarmee Navy. One Tyra Miraborg, in a final act of defiance, crashed her fighter directly into the command bridge of the enemy flagship in a brilliant blaze of glory. A year of uneasy peace followed. The media was ablaze with speculation about the invaders, who they were and where they had come from. The successive states scrambled to strengthen their militaries and uncover ways to counter this new enemy. It was then that Jamie Wolf, leader of the famed Wolfsdragoons, called for a meeting of all House Lords on the planet Outreach. Even Chancellor Romano Lau, despite the presence of her most despised enemies, accepted the invasion and traveled to the system with her son, Sun Tzu. Once the Lords had gathered, Jamie Wolf revealed everything. Media accounts of the Outreach Conference of 3051 are just starting to come out, and many of them paint Chancellor Romano Lau as a negative influence there. Several accounts depict her as divisive and confrontational throughout almost the entire conference. During one instance, when the first prince of the Federated Commonwealth offered the Chancellor a non-aggression pact, she is recorded as accusing him of a subterfuge to renew the Confederation border of troops so he could finish the work of the Fourth Succession War. These same accounts claim that only a personal appeal from Melissa Steiner-Davion assuaged the Chancellor's doubts. Several other notable accounts claim the Chancellor used the conference as a vehicle to attack her sister Candace and the St. Ives Compact, by calling Candace's son, Kai Alutlau, a war criminal for his victory over the Jade Falcon clan on Twycross. Eyewitnesses even claim she engineered a kangaroo court and called witnesses from across the Innisphere in an effort to discredit the Alutlau family. It may not be too far from the truth to say that the Innisphere's war effort against the clans might have gone much better had Romano Lau chose not to attend the Outreach Summit. The clans, as they came to be known, were not aliens. They were human, much like everyone else. Well, most of them were, at least. Jamie Wolf revealed that these invaders were none other than the descendants of Kerensky's Exodus fleet, which had departed known space centuries earlier. Some refused to believe it at first, Chancellor Romano Lau in particular. She insisted that the true Exodus fleet would one day return to save humanity from the clans, willfully ignoring what Wolf had just told them. Yet, even that revelation was not the most shocking. Jamie then disclosed that he and the original members of the Wolfsdragoons had once been a clan unit, sent ahead as a scouting force to evaluate the Innisphere's militaries. For decades, the mercenary group had secretly transmitted intelligence on the Innisphere's military strength, infrastructure, and politics back to the clan homeworlds. This information laid the groundwork for the clan's grand invasion plan, Operation Revival. The revelation also explained long-standing mysteries, how the Dragoons possessed lost Star League technology, and why they fought with tactics unseen for centuries. By this time, however, Jamie Wolf's loyalty to the clans had faded. Years spent in the Inner Sphere had forged friendships, alliances, and a deep sense of belonging among its people. The Dragoons themselves had become their own distinct society, especially after House Davion granted them the World of Outreach. Jamie now felt a duty to protect those under his care. Thus, he offered to train the Inner Sphere militaries in how to counter clan tactics and fight them effectively. Most leaders agreed to the plan, setting aside centuries of rivalry to confront a common enemy. Romana Lau, however, resisted. She feared that committing her forces would leave her recovering nation vulnerable to renewed attacks. She accused Hans Davion of orchestrating a ruse to finish what he began in the Fourth Succession War and finally subjugate the Capellan Confederation. Throughout the conference, she continued to launch verbal assaults, especially at her sister's family. Yet, after heartfelt appeals from Melissa Steiner Davion, Romana reluctantly agreed to the plan. Her son Sun Tzu Lao would join the heirs of the other great houses to train under the Dragoons, learning their methods of warfare. The Confederation will also supply military equipment to both the Draconis Combine and the Federated Commonwealth, though not without charging full price. Despite her participation, the Chancellor remained unimpressed by the Dragoons' strategy. She resented their refusal to disclose the location of the clan homeworlds or to share their advanced technology even more sophisticated than what had been recovered from the Hell Memory Core. Still, she went along with the plan, if only because she knew Davion's intelligence network would now be far too occupied with the clans. The assassin that killed Justin Ellard and wounded Candace Lau used a laser pistol, most likely because its composite construction and lack of ammunition made it undetectable to most weapon scanners. The laser fires short pulses of coherent light, rather than a single slug or cloud of needles, a nasty weapon that causes devastating wounds at close range. Justin Ellard took a shot to the throat and quickly bled to death, but the assassin struck Candace Lau mostly in the chest and the shoulder. Such injuries would have killed any other woman. Candace Lau had received Mimir implant replacements after successfully battling breast cancer, and the Mimirs acted as a pseudo-shield against the laser beam. She was badly wounded, but surgeons in Avalon City managed to stop the bleeding in time to save her. Had she not suffered from breast cancer, she certainly would have been slain. Her survival confirms the ancient proverb that wish does not kill you, makes you stronger. The year of peace came to an end, and the clans resumed the invasion of the Inner Sphere. Unlike before, however, they now face a prepared and united Inner Sphere, better equipped, more knowledgeable, and fully aware of their enemies' methods of war. Yet, in the face of an existential threat, Chancellor Romana Lau continued to conspire against their enemies from the shadows. With apparent confirmation that the clans were advancing only from the covert direction, Romana redirected her attention and resources toward a long-cherished goal: the destruction of the Alit Lau family. To achieve this, she enlisted the Thagi cult, an order of assassins devoted to Kali, the Hindu goddess of death. The cult had maintained a long-standing relationship with House Lau, particularly with its female members, whom the Thagi regarded as living embodiments of their goddess. Romano had long been associated with the cult, so deeply in fact that rumors persisted claiming her former estate world, High Spire, housed the cult's main enclave. With the Federated Commonwealth's full attention fixed on the clan invasion, inter-house security and counterintelligence had grown lax. This lapse allowed Capellan agents to uncover the whereabouts of Justin Ellard and Candace Lau, both residing in the St. Ives Embassy on New Avalon. Armed with this information, Romano activated a Thagi operative embedded within the Davion capital. The assassin infiltrated the embassy, tasked with eliminating both the Great Deceiver and the traitorous sister. The assassin succeeded in killing Justin Ellard with a shot through the neck, but Ellard managed to drag his killer into death with him. Candace Lau, however, survived a would-be execution. The laser blast struck her chest, a wound that would have been fatal to anyone else, but Candace's pectoral muscles had been replaced with Mimir fibers following her battle with breast cancer. The synthetic muscles dispersed the energy of the blast to near lethal levels, leaving her grievously wounded, yet alive. Though the assassin left behind little direct evidence linking the attack to the Capellan Confederation, few in known space doubted the source. No other power would go to such lengths to strike at the heart of New Avalon, and none had the motive that Romano Lau did. Her hatred for the Elliot Lau family was legendary, practically common knowledge across humanity. Sun Shang immediately mobilized the armed forces along the Capellan Commonwealth Compact borders, anticipating swift retaliation. Though the resurgence of the Capellan Confederation armed forces from near annihilation was remarkable, even they could not hope to withstand the combined strength of the Federated Commonwealth and St. Ives Compact, numbering over 250 regiments. Soldiers braced for what they believed would be the Confederation's final war, a war that would erase them from history. But the war never came. The clan invasion remained a far greater concern than petty house rivalries, leaving the Federated Commonwealth unwilling to divert its attention. While a handful of raids struck Capellan space, they were little more than symbolic gestures, a slap on the wrists for Romano's crime. Still, tension simmered within the Confederation. Even without invasion, unrest spread. The Capellan populace, wary of Romano's militarized economic policies and perpetual war footing, began staging protests across the nation. Discontent had finally reached its breaking point.
We will go on as best we can, making sure the Confederation of tomorrow is stronger than the Confederation of today. That the celestial wonder we have built, that my parents built, it will be shining for our children.
As time passed and it became increasingly clear that no retaliation would ever come, the Capellan Confederation armed forces were gradually withdrawn from the borders. They returned home to manage internal affairs and to continue their training and reorganization according to the tactics of the Wolf's Dragoons. Not long after, the Confederation began receiving advanced technologies from the Free Worlds League, as agreed upon during the Outreach Summit. The CCAF soon began upgrading its equipment to meet the current military standards of the Inner Sphere. Meanwhile, in the civilian sector, corporations cautiously restarted consumer production, defying official bans, in an attempt to restore some sense of normalcy to the Capellan economy. Then, in 3052, stunning news came. The clans had been defeated in an epic confrontation on Tukayid, resulting in a guaranteed 15-year truce between the two halves of humanity. Though the Confederation itself experienced little direct turmoil during this next great crisis, it nevertheless benefited greatly. From the influx of new technologies, the complete rebuilding of the CCAF, and the weakening of their rivals, the Capellan Confederation emerged stronger than it had been in centuries. Yet even that newfound stability could not prevent what came next. On May 8th, 3052, Chancellor Romano Lau and Sun Shang were found dead in their bedchambers. Unbeknownst to them, Candace Lau had survived her assassination and had been plotting revenge for the murder of her husband. In secret, she traveled to Xi'an, and with the aid of Ion Rush, master of House Imara, who believed Romano to be a threat to the Confederation, gained access to the Celestial Palace. There, she killed both Romano and Sun Shang as they slept. Afterward, Candace returned to the St. Ives Compact to rule her nation directly. With Justin Ellert dead, the Federated Commonwealth would now pose just as much of a danger to the Compact as the Confederation itself. Upon the discovery of the assassinations, Sun Tzu Lao was immediately named Chancellor. The CCAF was once again placed on full alert and redeployed to the borders in anticipation of an invasion. The Strategios, the Confederation's high command, believed the killings were the prelude to a larger offensive. The Maskarovka, the Confederation's intelligence service, dispatched field teams to nearby systems to search for a mustering force that did not exist. During this time of crisis, Sun Tzu left his colonels in charge of the potential defense, while he appointed an interim Maskarovka director and personally led a manhunt for his parents' killer. The investigation, however, yielded nothing, and Sun Tzu eventually allowed the case to go cold. In other matters, Sun Tzu confirmed new trade agreements with the Free Worlds League and reaffirmed his commitment to the ongoing anti-clan efforts. Following a private funeral, the young chancellor made his first public appearance. speaking of his parents' sacrifice and vowing to continue their vision of a greater, stronger Capellan Confederation. Many assumed this meant he would simply continue his mother's policies, but they could not have been more wrong. One of Sun Tzu's first acts as Chancellor was to reverse his mother's seizure of private property. He established a new commission to return confiscated deeds to their rightful owners. Those caught exploiting this new system were swiftly and harshly punished, sending a clear message that personal greed at the expense of the state would not be tolerated. To further rebalance the Capellan economy, Sun Tzu lifted restrictions on consumer goods and incentivized those who actively contributed to economic recovery. This pragmatic approach restored the economy far faster than if he had relied solely on state intervention. His trust in his people distinguished him from most of his predecessors. Unlike many before him, Sun Tzu sought advice and accepted it when it proved sound. The Capellan people came to view him as a brilliant and pragmatic leader, a chancellor who placed the welfare of his citizens above his own ambitions. And for the first time in generations, the people of the Capellan Confederation felt a renewed sense of hope.